Hello YouTube, how are you? So I'm trying this a little bit differently today. So this is still on my webcam on my home laptop, but I'm doing this separately. So I'm recording it first, and then I'm going to upload it later. We'll see how this works through camrecorder.com. So hopefully it's not a complete scam. So I'm going to do the same topic I've done a few times. So ball tampering. This is in relation to the Australian one. So there are a few other ball tampering cases. So first off, some of the facts. So on 24th of March 2018, so this year, it's eight months ago now, we had some ball tampering. So this involved Cameron Bancroft, and what he did was he used some sandpaper. Now he put it in the palm of his hand, so it was about that big. So it was a very small piece, and he put it on there and rubbed it on the ball, and to rough it up. Now, why we rough up the ball, people are not aware. So what most cricketers want, particularly fast bowlers, is they want one side to be shiny and one side to be rough. So if they do that, then it can swing and it can even reverse swing. So reverse swing means it swings the other way. Very hard for batsmen to deal with and gets a lot of wickets. So that's what ball tampering's all for. So you might hear some cases where they put lollies on the ball, or they lick it to shine up one side, or they polish it with some cloth or whatever, and the other side they'll rough it up. Now there's certain amounts of you're allowed to do. So you're allowed to rub it on your top or your trousers to shine it up, and to rough it up, you're not really allowed to do anything at all. So you're only supposed to shine one side. So what people have done in the past, they've had things like lollies. And they go, they got lollies in their mouth, and yeah, and then they sneakily put it on. Oh, there's a zipper in the pants. Or they had a bit of dirt or whatever, and it's all been a bit sneaky. And they even also throw it into the pitch. So whoops, the ball fell out of my hand and fell onto the pitch, or whoops, I threw it in and whoops, it bounced on the pitch, and that sort of rough it up. Now, because the pitch is a lot harder, a lot rougher than the ground itself, so and that can also damage the pitch and make a crack. So it's doubly useful. And players have been banned for deliberately throwing it into the pitch before. So in this match, Cameron Bancroft, who was pretty obviously Australia's worst player team at the time, really should have been dumped long before that match had started. And probably, he played, that was his eighth match, I think, and he really should have even played one, but he kept getting chance after chance after chance, and he was really, 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 really about to be dumped, and then he did this. Of course, he was dumped, and so in a lot of ways, Australia didn't miss out by having him banned. He missed out, but I mean, he probably wasn't going to play anyway. He wasn't good enough, and so that was it. So I mean, we should have had Matt Renshaw playing for the whole time. He topped the run scoring list that year, and he was really good in Test cricket. So we shouldn't have had Bancroft in the first place. And he got a couple of centuries, 2 centuries in 2 matches, put in the team, blah blah, boom, tampering the ball. So that's the motivation, if you like. It was a professional foul. I don't think anyone is any doubt about that. It was done by the worst player to advantage Australia, and so that's the simple part. Worst player tampers with the ball, makes it rough on one side, so we can get some extra reverse swing, and it can help our three fast bowlers, Mitchell Starc, Josh Hazlewood, and Pat Cummins, get reverse swing. Maybe a little bit Mitchell Marsh, but don't think that really mattered because he doesn't bowl quickly enough to get reverse swing. So three bowlers advantage. Cameron Bancroft was helping him out. Well, he was a good team man. He was going to take a ban. Didn't really care because he was going to be dumped anyway. We see this in sport all the time. Professional foul. It was probably the most obvious type of ball tampering since a guy called Shahid Afridi in January 2010 in a T20 international in Sydney, SCG, bit the ball. Thought it was an apple when that's what people said. So they said, that's not really ball tampering because it's so obvious. Well, in that case, what Cameron Bancroft did was so freaking obvious that it wasn't really ball tampering. And that's an argument, but it hasn't really been said in this case. So the next thing So after he's caught ball tampering, the next thing that he does is, when it's on the screen, it's on the big screen, everyone can see. Somehow the umpires didn't see. Somehow he didn't see. Everybody knew. And then the coach is Darren Lehman. He used to play for Australia, good player. And he was, hello, 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 hello. Oh, damn, it's on the big screen. You silly person. I'm just scratching my face. And then cameras see that little walkie-talkie. And he's on the walkie-talkie. And then they go, oh, who's he talking to? Other end, there's the 12th man for that match was Peter Hanscom. Now, he's on there going, oh, hello, we don't know what was said exactly. Pretty easy to guess, though. And they go, and they both go, oh, that's not fair, it's not fair. You can look at the visual, it's there. They, oh, it's not fair, it's not fair, it's not fair. And then Peter Hanscom goes out, not long afterwards, out onto the ground, as 12th men do, goes straight to Cameron Bancroft, have a little chat. Peter Hanscom leaves. Cameron Bancroft goes, oh, this little bit, shoves it down the front of his pants. I mean, really, that's so obvious. Then the umpires go, hang on, we've seen you on the front screen. Well, we don't know what they said. We're assuming they said we saw you on the front screen, on the big screen, with what looks like sandpaper. Show us what it is. He goes, oh well, look, sunglasses case. It's black and it's felt, even though the thing that was shown was orange. And it didn't look felt. A felt sunglasses case would arguably be ball tampering. Hang on a minute. So yeah, so that would arguably be ball tampering anyway. But he was just saying, oh, it's a felt sunglasses case. Thought that was allowed, that kind of thing. Which is probably why at the end of the match or end of the day, he was given a fine, not a ban. It's hard to know what the umpires were basing it on. It's all a bit behind closed doors, but he got a fine. He didn't get banned. Now, at the end of the day's play, Steve Smith, Australian captain, says, hey everybody, well, I'm here to come clean about it. It was sticky tape. So sticky tape, sticky tape. And said, well, it was ball tampering, got sticky tape, put it onto the pitch and picked up some grit and that roughed up the ball. Oh, sticky tape. Well, that's still ball tampering, but it's not that bad. Everybody was saying it's sandpaper. Well, only sticky tape, that's not so bad. So that was his confession. And the problem was that it wasn't sticky tape, it was sandpaper. The second problem was the other thing that he said. We said, well, we're going to confess, we admit it was planned by the leadership group before. And then he explained that, well, the leadership group got together and they decided that they needed to do something about this. So had a chat. Cameron Bancroft wasn't a part of it. He heard it and he decided to do it. Makes sense. But then everybody's thinking, holy, what? You mean it's a conspiracy? There was the leadership group. Now, who did he mean by the leadership group? Steve Smith didn't say, but Steve Smith, David Warner, vice captain, he's in the leadership group. And then Nathan Lyon, well, obviously he's not involved. He's not even a fast bowler. And Pat Cummins, and also not Pat Cummins, it's Josh Hazlewood and Mitchell Starc. So Josh Hazlewood and Mitchell Starc were the two fast bowlers. They're thinking, oh, these two guys are getting big advantage from this. They're to blame. That's what you're all thinking. You're thinking they're saying, Cap, come on, Cap, get us a bit of reverse swing. And Smithy said, oh yeah, mate, no worries. Warner, you want to do it? And then Warner goes, oh, geez, I guess I'll go and get Pat Cameron Bancroft to do it, since he's the one he's the worst player. If we're going to have someone banned, he's the one we want to have banned. So that's what we're told will happen. That's what we're led to believe. Problem is, I mean, he was a bit ambiguous when he said it, Smith was, and then we hear later from the dressing room that David Warner said something. Now, we're told it's along the lines of, come on, don't pretend you didn't know. Now, there was obviously a conversation surrounding that, but they don't want to reveal what the whole conversation was. But come on, don't pretend you didn't know. And that's David Warner talking to Mitchell Starc. Mitchell Starc gets up and says, I don't want to be on the same team as you ever again. I want you banned from playing for Australia for life. But Mitchell Starc gets up, gets really upset. Now some of the others were probably upset too. You know, you got the division, you got the Warner side and the Stark side. You got the ones that are saying, "Oh, geez, Warner, come on, that's all right," and the ones that are saying, "Geez, Warner, what are you doing?" And you know, it's split. If you ask the players now, they're 50-50 whether they thought that what Stark did was fair enough and whether they think what Warner did was fair enough and that Stark should have shut up and sat down. So it's still split, and it split the dressing room. So whether you're going to blame Warner for that, for saying, "Come on, don't pretend you didn't know," or if you're going to blame Stark for that, for saying, "I don't want to play with you ever again, I want you banned for life." I think personally, realistically, you've got to blame Stark for that. That's my opinion. I think that was an overreaction from Stark. And so, what were they talking about? Look, I know. I mean, I think most people following it know what they were talking about. And they're talking about, just so you know, so Steve Smith released this later, and he's clarified, and he said what they were talking about at lunch was Kagiso Rabada, who's South Africa's probably their best bowler, and him being banned in the second match. He was banned, so he wasn't supposed to play in the third. And then, well, officially there was an appeal. Nobody ever heard about the appeal, but he was just suddenly playing. And what he was banned for was making fun of David Warner, and particularly David Warner's wife, Candace, who was said to have cheated on Warner. And there was some sledge that was too harsh a sledge. It was beyond the line that is acceptable. Rather than it was just offensive, and Warner lashed out. Rabada, he put in a complaint. Rabada got banned, and then Rabada was allowed to play. And it seemed unfair that he was allowed to play when other players in that situation wouldn't be allowed to play. So that's the first thing there. And also, Smith said, "Oh, South Africa got reverse swing quickly." Now, why did that happen? Well, we know later, we were told by South Africa's coach, Otis Gibson, used to play for West Indies, I think, and he said, well, South Africa were in trouble for deliberately throwing the ball into the pitch. Now, they might have argued that it wasn't deliberate, but the umpires warned them. So it's not controversial. The umpires warned them, gave them official warning, said, "You do that again, you're going to get banned for a test, or you're going to be seeing them for, for ball tampering." And that was against South Africa. Now, again, it seems as if it was Rabada and Philander. I don't have that officially, but I believe it was Rabada and Philander that were accused. Now, and Philander has previously been banned for ball tampering. Rabada hasn't, but he's just fresh from another ban. So Steve Smith's talking about that, and he's saying, these guys have been warned. Why didn't more happen? And he's also probably, and he's not allowed to say in a press conference the names, but I mean, that wasn't really controversial. We knew that. It's a pity that he wasn't allowed to say it, because I think that then the Australian public would know and they'd put it into better context. And the other thing was also that for people in South Africa, they knew the situation. They knew that Mitchell Starc and Pat Cummins were both accused by newspapers and TV stations in South Africa of ball tampering. So Mitchell Starc had thrown it into the pitch, they said, on purpose to scuff up the ball. And they said Pat Cummins, he was shown to put his foot over the ball. And they said that was to scuff up the ball tampering. So those two, not Bancroft, but Starc and Cummins, two players, two bowlers, were accused by South Africa, by the media, South African media, of ball tampering. So that's the situation with that. And of course, that would have been a part of the conversation with Steve Smith and the leadership group. They're saying, well, how is that fair? They've actually done it. South Africa's done it. Got a warning. Not in any of the media, because it wasn't. It wasn't in any media at all. We only found out because of Otis Gibson's honesty. And I don't know. I think he said it. I think Otis Gibson said it because he thought that South Africa were in trouble. But we only found that out because of him. We didn't know. I didn't know. Nobody did. But anyway, so that we found out because of Otis Gibson. But everybody knew, at least anyone following it, which wasn't very many people in Australia, they knew that Stark and Cummins were accused. Now, certainly not saying that Stark and Cummins were guilty, because they were accused by South African newspapers, TV stations, not by the umpires. They didn't face any charges. Still, right now, they haven't faced any charges from that. Nor did any of the South Africans ultimately either. So whether they would have, and the only reason they didn't was because of the Cameron Bancroft issue, or whether it just wasn't quite bad enough. It's up to speculation. I think it was probably bad enough that they would have at least faced a query, after the match finished, to see, were they guilty, to look over the evidence. And I think it was that bad. I think it was bad enough for a charge to be laid and for them to be analysed and seen. And look, they were facing a one-test ban. That's all. They weren't facing life bans or a year out of the game. One test. So one test ban for probably Rabada and Philan. I think Rabada probably would have faced two, because he already had that ban for abusing David Warner, and I think that it would have carried forward. So I think we would have seen Rabada banned for two tests and Philander for one, or Philander for one, Rabada for two, and that's what we would have seen. Now, as for whether the video evidence would have shown Stark and Cummins to have to face charges, I'm not sure. It's possible, but and I haven't heard a defence from them to say that it wasn't ball tampering. But I think that, the umpires didn't pick it up, so I think that they're not allowed to, based on a complaint from the other team. I'm not sure on the details on that. It's possible that they would have been facing a one-test ban as well. That's the penalty for that level of ball tampering, for throwing it into the pitch, for putting your foot over it, is one test. And it's the same penalty that Cameron Bancroft was facing. He might have faced two tests, but first offence wasn't that bad. It's pretty obvious. It's a fine. Now, Shahid Afridi back in 2010, when he hit the ball, got a two-test ban. So you could argue that it was a bit lenient on Bancroft, only not even a fine. A fine, not even a one-test ban. And also, he lied about it by using the felt, and that's supposed to add a third test, third ban, a third test ban. So he should have faced three for that, and then the sticky tape thing should have made it to four. So four tests he should have been out, and instead he had a fine. Now that was grossly inadequate, really. So the other thing is that, since then we've upped the penalty, and so I think under the current rules he'd be facing 5 tests for ball tampering plus 2 for lying, so 7, which would basically, if you want to count the tests, there's the last one in South Africa, there's the 2 in UAE, and then there's the 4 against India in Australia. So it should have been banned for the entire Indian series, and that would be under the current rules. That's how half the ban would be. It wouldn't affect his domestic cricket, but it would affect, he shouldn't be back until then. Now, that's Bancroft. Steve Smith was banned for one test by the ICC for bringing the game into disrepute because whether he lied or someone told him the wrong thing, he said it was sticky tape in the press conference when it was actually ball tape, when it was actually sandpaper. And so that's lying, and you can't have a captain lying at a press conference like that. But if he'd said no comment, said we didn't do anything, that's different. But he said he confessed. He confessed, but he didn't confess. And then there's also the factor of whether it was the leadership group. So that's what Steve Smith was in trouble for. He wasn't in trouble for knowing about ball tampering. That came from Cricket Australia. So Cricket Australia came in now. They were under pressure from Mitchell Stark, who said, wants you to ban David Warner for life. Now, at that stage, nobody was thinking that Warner had done anything wrong. This is just Stark getting upset because he was basically told by David Warner, and this is what we believe, is that he was told Starkey and Pat Cummins should come forward and admit to throwing the ball into the pitch and putting their foot over the ball, which there was no doubt that both of them did it. And to explain that, that's what David Warner wanted them to do. Stark didn't want that because he was fearing that he would then get a one-test ban, maybe, and that it would then sort of cover for what South Africa was doing. So what Stark wanted to do was to focus on what South Africa had done. And you can see his point, but so he was like, oh, how dare you, you've attacked me, you've betrayed me, saying that to Warner. So Warner was then said to have organise the whole thing. I'm pretty confident that came from Mitchell Starc. I think Mitchell Starc was. Well, look, it probably didn't. He didn't. I'm not saying he made the whole thing up, but it's more like he said ban him, and the administrator says, "Well, how can we ban him? He's done anything wrong. So let's make something up," and that's what they've made up. Now, I know there's some people have said, "Well, Warner's been tampering with the ball the whole time." Well, he hasn't. He certainly hasn't used sandpaper. Sandpaper is really obvious. You would have caught that by now. They've looked over the footage. The worst that they can accuse Warner of maybe doing was wearing on his hand in previous tests. He had an injury and he wore some strapping and then rubbed the ball onto the strapping. I'm not sure that actually does advantage it, but it might have a little bit. It's a bit sneaky, and you know, does that tamper with the ball? I'm not sure if it does. Somebody else can perhaps explain to me whether it does, but that's the worst he was accused of doing. Now, again, as we can point out, David Warner's a batsman, Cameron Bancroft's a batsman. Who out of those two benefits from tampering the ball? Neither. Bowlers do. 3 bowlers, Starc, Cummins, Hazelwood are the 3 that benefit. Now, the other problem is Warner had no influence whatsoever over the team. Had no influence over Bancroft. He had his opening partner, his senior partner. He's the vice captain. Vice captain is a token role, at least in Australian cricket. Doesn't really mean anything. So it's almost like give someone the vice captaincy to say, well, don't quit. We like you. Look, you'll be there in case the captain is suddenly injured and you'll have to be captain to take his place. That's what it really means. You don't have any influence over the players. We've had vice captains before that never been captain, or have only been captain for one test when someone was injured. It's very rare that the vice captaincy leads to the full-time captaincy. Once, I mean, had we, or even when Smith was banned, the captaincy didn't go to vice captain. Well, I mean, he was banned too, but even if he had, it wouldn't have automatically gone to Warner. We went with Payne, who was a brand new guy. So the idea that he could in any way influence him, or in any way had any idea about it, is silly. And I mean, if he did know what he was doing, you'd think surely he would convince Bancroft to do it in a subtle, sneaky way. But, maybe he'd have worn something on his hand and then rubbed it sneakily. I mean, the sandpaper was arguably not sneaky at all. It was, it was a tiny little patch. But at the same time, you compare that to all the other ones, other ball tampering cases, a lolly in the mouth, oh, didn't notice that, or zipper, or even if you take the view that Warner's injury, that was ball tampering. Now, I certainly don't think that was ball tampering itself. There's been a few people who have gone along those lines. So even if you take that view, Warner, that Warner was ball tampering, doesn't make it his fault, and it doesn't. I mean, if he's saying, "Oh, Bancroft, you've got to start ball tampering," I'm having a day off or whatever. I'm not in the right position. Bancroft couldn't have would have been told a better way to do it rather than that. And I mean, even if you take that view, well, who's Warner doing it for? Bowlers. So we're sort of saying, well, the bowler suddenly go, "Oh wow, look, it's swinging. I'm such a good bowler. Don't notice that being roughed up a lot more than it normally would be." And I mean, so that's it really. So my opinion on this, I think Smith, it was right to ban Smith for a test, and I think it was right to remove Smith's captaincy because he had a bad press conference. And I think it's fair enough. You've got to have a captain that knows what to say, that knows. He should have just said no comment, and he should have waited and let one of the administrators make a comment. And Cameron Bancroft, if anyone was going to confess, it should have been Cameron Bancroft, not Steve Smith. And certainly Smith shouldn't have said it was the leadership group without talking to the leadership group. As for Warner, I think that he obviously lost the respect of his, or at least of Mitchell Starc. And I think losing the vice captaincy was fair enough. He really shouldn't have been vice captain. I mean, he's pretty irresponsible. And he just lashes out all the time and says the wrong thing. So I don't think Warner should have had any penalty at all. that look, if you're gonna, because of all the furor in Australia, I think it was fair enough to dump them for one test. But I think after that, they should have, when they did that analysis, they should have said, "All right, we found this out, and it's just Bancroft," and then revealed the actual facts. I know that all the Australian public were baying for blood, but if we'd done an honest review, it would have just been Bancroft. Now, I know some people have said they threw him under the bus. I don't think that's it got any semblance of truth to it whatsoever, and I think there's no part of evidence that suggests that. So, I think Bancroft took a professional foul. He just took it upon himself to help out Australian cricket. So, that's my view on it, and I hope people like this. I hope this video is a bit clearer than the other ones. All right, so bye bye.